What's happening, everybody? On today's show, it is National Signing Day, the early signing period, we call it. But of course, teams will be signing about 80-90% of their classes today. So we're going to jump into it with our buddy Sam Spiegelman of Rivals.com. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. I'm Chris Gordy. Thank you guys so much for making us your first listen every day. Remember, you could subscribe and even catch us even on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Our buddy Sam Spiegelman at Sam Spiegs on Twitter. He is a national recruiting analyst for Rivals.com, one of the best in the business. No better person to talk to than on this day, the start of the early signing period. Sam, welcome in, man. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, Chris, good to hear from you, man. Good. Thanks for having me.
So let's jump into it, Sam. Obviously, across the SEC, a lot of we've just come to know, look, a lot of SEC schools are going to be sitting right there at the top. But I wanted to start here because we know Georgia and Alabama are always going to be there right around 1 and 2 with what Nick Saban does and what Kirby Smart does. What has Jimbo Fisher done in getting Texas A&M up there and sitting there at number 3 right now, but with a possibility to maybe even finish number 1? What's with this, I guess, groundswell right now with Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M?
Yeah, A&M is definitely a contender to be the number 1 team in the country as far as recruiting class goes, and we'll see where that happens in a couple of hours. Jimbo Fisher has dominated in-state recruiting, simply put. Now, obviously, this 2022 cycle is as unpredictable as any. And remember, this is a class that really was hit hard by COVID and has kind of, now we're seeing some coaching carousel stuff that we've never seen before. It's unprecedented. But to bring you back to the original point is Jimbo Fisher has dominated in-state recruiting. And even if there are a couple of sprinkles for Texas, for Alabama, for Oklahoma here and there, Jimbo Fisher has signed blue chip players largely in the trenches, offensive and defensive linemen. And he's getting a couple of skill players here and there. And now we're seeing it at the quarterback position. So the 2022 class is just such a unique class in the state of Texas in particular. Not only is there a couple of just truly elite 5-star, really high 4-star talent that's right on the fence of 5 stars. It's just an extraordinarily deep class. I think we've seen that in a couple of places, in Texas and Louisiana and Georgia, but at the top, it's really elite. A&M has a stranglehold on a lot of those guys and can get more of them, obviously, during the early signing period, and then obviously trying to close with them. And they're in a position to do that, which has never been done before at A&M. So credit Jimbo Fisher and that staff he's put together.
Before we move on and touch on a couple other schools, I did want to ask you, how has the landscape changed? Because obviously the transfer portal is playing such a big factor, but as it was just a couple of years ago, I remember when Joe Burrow signed with LSU or transferred, he counted against the recruiting class. What has changed in that aspect? Because we know you get the 25, but from what I understand, a lot of the transfers now coming out of the portal won't count against your 25. What's the new landscape there?
Yeah, well, it doesn't really change too much as far as, the guys that we're really talking about, 4- and 5-star guys, but it certainly impacts the way that college coaches, especially, guys coming into new gigs and new programs, trying to fill out a roster. They a lot of them prefer for older, more developed players. Obviously, different positions call for different things, but quarterback, offensive line, you can make a case for any sort of thing, but those are the kind of things that when you change programs, change landscapes, change conferences, change alignments, that come into play as far as upgrading rosters. I think, they're adjusting the rules and they're tinkering them because they're seeing some coaches like you mentioned with Coach Ed Orgeron and Joe Burrow a couple of years ago, they'll take a quarterback from the transfer portal as opposed to a high school quarterback because they know that Burrow obviously did and made that instant impact. So it's still things that are being sorted out, but we're seeing different coaches, different programs utilize the transfer portal, Mel Tucker, for instance, to their advantage. And I think that it's changing the whole entire landscape of high school football recruiting, largely because you're seeing a lot of these lesser ranked kids, and it doesn't mean that they're lesser talent, borderline Power 5, Group of 5, or even some just plain old, Power 5 level players not being recruited because some coaches will elect to go through the portal. So I do expect some adjustments being made because I don't know how long that'll last.
I know in addition to covering a good bit of the SEC states, you also cover Oklahoma. And I'm just curious. Yeah, I tweeted out a few weeks ago. I said, I wonder if that connection between Shane Beamer, being at Oklahoma with Spencer Rattler could pull him over there. Not only is that a monster haul, he gets the tight end as well as in the transfer portal. And on top of it, Shane Beamer's putting together I think they're top 12 right now in terms of recruiting class. Is this just, it's so crazy to see, but you could kill in the recruiting game and the transfer portal. What do you make of a guy like Shane Beamer? I mean, it seems like he's hitting the ground running in just his first year plus.
Yeah, no surprise. He's completely changed the culture over at South Carolina. And obviously, they're not competing for SEC titles just yet, but you can just obviously tell the culture, the feel around the program. It's way more upbeat. Shane Beamer is from the Lincoln Riley coaching tree, which obviously Lincoln Riley's a young guy, but Shane Beamer too is a young guy, had a ton of success recruiting for Oklahoma, brings that same energy that made Lincoln Riley one of the most, if not the most coveted head coach in the country this past coaching carousel. And I think Shane Beamer shares a lot of those qualities, which is why he was early on mentioned as a possible candidate to replace Riley at Oklahoma, even after just one season at South Carolina. He recruited a lot of tight ends while at Oklahoma, so it doesn't surprise me to see Stogner come over. I saw Stogner play in high school, one of the best tight end prospects in recent memory. And obviously, as we've seen across the college football landscape in general, transfer quarterback, Rattler certainly represents an upgrade for South Carolina, or at least some competition to get the best man in the position to play for the Gamecocks under Beamer, a program definitely, on the rise and that, rising in the SEC with momentum right now.
Speaking of riding momentum, Sam Pittman is certainly riding some momentum at Arkansas. He's putting together his class ranks, top 15 right now. And I look through the class, Sam, and I see a lot of running backs and O-linemen, and it just screams like that's what Sam Pittman wants to do. But what do you make of the group that Sam Pittman's bringing in?
I think you hit it right in the head. He's going to go get big guys, and he's going to go get big, powerful running backs, some running backs with speed. They're a physical team, and they're going to recruit that way. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In my opinion, the way to win in the SEC is ultimately controlling the clock and playing good defense. And Pittman's been able to make some splash, not only on the field, but as a recruiter since he landed at Arkansas. You got to remember, he just got there last year, and he kind of hit the ground rolling, hitting not only Arkansas, but different parts of the area, including places like Texas or East Texas and Oklahoma, which Arkansas has traditionally went after, and he had success almost instantly, which shows you the character of the head coach and the people around him that believe in him. And this year, what he's done is he's put a fence around the state of Arkansas. It was one of the better classes. They have 4 4-stars, which for, Arkansas is pretty decent. And they've secured a commitment that includes Isaiah Centegna. I think he was a player of the year, or at least he should have been. I think he led the nation in receiving yards this past year. He's a top 150 player on Rivals, and he originally committed to A&M. He flipped to Oregon, and then Pittman ended up bringing him in. That's a big deal, and that they also flipped a Florida State commit, Quincy McAdoo, at a certain point. They locked down the best offensive lineman in the state, unsurprisingly, and also have a 4-star defensive end in Nico DeVilliers, who was also leaning out of state before Pittman got there. Just shows you they got the best in the state to stay home, and then they have reach. Pittman's definitely reached throughout the Southeast.
More with Sam Spiegelman in just a second. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Make sure to check out the Ultimate College Football Playoff Preview. The most comprehensive college football playoff preview begins this Friday. I've been telling you guys about Prize Picks for a while. If you haven't signed up yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. They are a leader in the college sports daily fantasy world. They offer all of our users that go sign up, if you've never signed up before, when you make your first deposit, use our promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, and you'll receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks offers mixed sport entries, so you can do college basketball, football throughout the bowl season, whatever it is you want, NBA, NFL, it's all there for you. Go check them out right now, prizepicks.com, or go download their app. You can find it in the App Store or the Google Play Store. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. And Prize Picks is safe, and they offer fast withdrawals Don't hesitate. Go check them out. PrizePicks.com. Use our promo code LOCKEDON. That's LOCKEDON. Or go to the App Store. Download them today. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. This is it, guys. The putt to win the tournament. If you sink it, the championship is yours. But on your backswing, your hat falls over your eyes. You can't see a thing. Is this how you're running your business? Poor visibility because you're still relying on spreadsheets and outdated finance software. If you want to see the full picture, you need to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. Look, go check them out right now. NetSuite, that's NetSuite. They're the #1 cloud financial system to power your growth. They can automate your processes, close your books in no time while staying well ahead of your competition. 93% of those surveyed businesses increase their visibility and control after upgrading to NetSuite. Over 27,000 businesses are already using NetSuite, and right now through the end of the year, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program for those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA. And do netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA for special end-of-year financing on the #1 financial system for growing businesses, netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA. Talk with our buddy Sam Spiegelman over at Rivals.com, national recruiting analyst. Sam, I do want to jump into this being a big day. We're going to hear some big names making big announcements today. Who are some of the big names to keep an eye on, at least as far as the SEC goes? I mean, basically, when it comes to big names in recruiting, almost every one of them has an SEC school on their radar. But who are some big names to watch for today that are going to be making some announcements?
Yeah, for sure. Start with Aaron Anderson, one of the top 100 players in the country on Rivals. One-time LSU commit, flipped to Alabama pretty quickly after Coach Orgeron was fired. He's going to choose between LSU and Bama. Obviously, you know that those two guys go at it on the recruiting trail. Always one to watch. Another one to watch. Cam Dewberry, talented top 100 offensive lineman, going to choose between Texas and Texas A&M. He's another one of those pieces A&M would love to add and kind of bolster their way toward a top class in the country. Kendrick Law is a guy for Friday, Alabama and LSU. Texas tried to stay in it. He's been an Alabama lean for some time, and now after visiting LSU this past weekend, pushing this till Friday, so kind of close out the week with another top 100 player. Chaz Preston also seems down to LSU and Bama. He officially visited Bama last weekend and seems just kind of be weighing Frank Wilson being back at LSU versus Pete Golding and the stability at Alabama. Additionally, you have Denver Harris, in my opinion, the #1 cornerback in the country, but he's a top 12 player on Rivals. He's choosing between Alabama and A&M. Now, obviously, he's considering possibly pushing this back because he is a state championship, playing in the state championship this weekend. But he is certainly one to watch and could definitely dictate that #1 class battle for A&M or Alabama. Maybe it could surprise us with Texas or LSU, but he seems to be leaning toward the SEC with one of those teams.
Let me ask you, Sam, with the two new coaches over, obviously with Brian Kelly coming to LSU and, over at Florida, we got Billy coming over from ULL. How quickly do those guys, literally they're on the job and then 2 weeks later is signing day and it's like, man, you got to hit the ground running. I mean, is there enough that could be done to make an impact in this signing class with both those guys, or are they going to be more focused on the February, kind of trying to get the kids on the second round of the signing day?
I think Coach Napier and Coach Kelly went in different directions with this. For Coach Kelly at LSU, it was a lot about maintaining the class that was already in place. They had a decent number of commitments, a lot of highly rated in-state kids, like I mentioned earlier. Texas, Louisiana have very deep classes for 2022, and a lot of them were already committed. Guys like Walker Howard, Will Campbell, LaTerrence Welsh. I think that Alabama is making a push to kind of make some noise in Louisiana this year, and it's really hard to compete with Alabama on any year. So I do think that LSU might be on the losing side of a couple of tight recruiting battles. They might win one here and there. I think they're going to get some other good news from some other players, maybe not on as many people's radars. And I think that Brian Kelly will maybe make a bigger splash in February once he fully, a lot of kids don't even know who their defensive line coach is going to be, or the wide receivers coach, or the coordinator. So that hurts you in recruiting because they want stability and they want to know names that they have relationships with. For Coach Napier, he's been kind of retooling the shed. He wants his guys. He's also assembling a staff, and he's going to continue to kind of fill out that staff after Louisiana's bowl game, if I understand correctly. He's obviously after a lot of guys that he's been recruiting. And I think they, again, are a team that kind of reshuffling the deck, figuring out who they want, who they don't want. They're going to try to keep the guys in state that they're targeting, but I expect Napier to kind of have a Southeast reach as well. I think they could make some noise in Louisiana. They could make some noise in Texas. But really, I think they're going to focus again on in-state, who they can get, who they can maybe push to get on campus in January. And we'll see what they do with whoever's left over. It'll be about kind of, manufacturing until they can get their boots on the ground,
Yeah. Last thing for you, Sam, before we let you go, a quick thought on the two Mississippi schools, both in the top 40, both doing fine. Mike Leach maybe doing a little bit better than I thought he would do at recruiting at Mississippi State, but I'm a little surprised. Like, I thought Lane Kiffin would kill it, especially coming off a 10-2 season, got a chance to go win a Sugar Bowl down in New Orleans, but I just thought Lane, being the affable, the personality that he is out there on social media, I thought he'd be, somewhere in the top 10 when it comes to recruiting. Or is it just he doesn't have enough commits yet, but they're going to climb the ranks here as we go through the signing period?
Yeah, Lane is going to get his guys in the transfer portal as well. He's undergoing a tough situation with Jeff Lebby, the offensive coordinator, heading to Oklahoma. That hurt his stock because he was pretty close with a lot of these elite quarterbacks that even if they were committed elsewhere, were exploring their options. And I thought that they were going to make some noise, but Levy's departure hurts a little bit. I don't expect the Lane train to slow down entirely. I'm sure they'll get a few bits of good news this week and more so in February as well. I think Mike Leach is in store for a big commitment coming up during the early signing period from one of the best in-state kids. That's just how the state of Mississippi is. It's weird. It's unpredictable. And, he's made some noise in the state of Texas. He's got deep roots there. He's got, he's lost a couple of ties to Louisiana, but in state and utilizing those Texas ties, I think Mike Leach is in store for that class to bolster up a few spots as well.
He is Sam Spiegelman from Rivals.com. And, of course, you can follow him on Twitter at Sam Spiegs, national recruiting analyst for Rivals.com. Sam, I know you're busy, man. Thanks so much for the time.
Absolutely, dude.
All right, thanks so much. That's Sam Spiegelman there. Like we said, Rivals.com does it better than anybody out there. More here on Locked On SEC right after this. About to start up bowl season, and there's no place better to go get in on the action than betonline.ag. BetOnline has got you covered all season long with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. And BetOnline remains your number one spot for all sports action throughout the bowl season, college football season, college basketball season, everything. Head on over to the new website. They just updated it on your desktop or mobile device. Sign up today. Receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit when you use our promo code LOCKEDON. Locked On is going to get you your bonus from basketball to football to UFC, Vegas casino games. They've got you covered in every which way. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Get in there. They got you with the SEC games nightly throughout college basketball season, but particularly with the bowl games. Man, there's going to be so much line movement and over and unders, so many different plays at BetOnline. You want to make sure you got your account ready to go. BetOnline, where the game starts. Of course, the holiday season is coming up very quickly, and you want to grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar, Built Bar, filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, and high in protein. So you get the best of both worlds. It's delicious and healthy. So many flavors, from the raspberry, mint brownie, cherry, double chocolate, cookies and cream. Something for everybody. And Built Bar, they give you that extra fuel that you need if you're going to be running to the mall at the last minute. Man, you're going to need the Built Bar to fire you up, power you through all those holiday shoppers. Or if you're standing in endless shopping lines, Built Bar can give you that extra something you need to keep going. So throw one in your jacket or your purse. You never know when you're going to need it. Go check them out at built.com. And of course, right now, when you use our promo code LOCK15, you will get 15% off your next order. Built.com. Use the promo code LOCK15. Get 15% off your order. Built Bar. Try them today. Well, along here, Locked On SEC. Our thanks to Sam Spiegelman for joining us from Rivals.com. And I want to jump into this because it is National Signing Day, so hopefully you guys are listening before your favorite teams may have already put together their signing class for today. Again, remember, it's the early signing period, but most teams or most schools are going to sign anywhere from 80% to 90% of their class. So let's jump into it. Some of the names just to keep an eye on, either making decisions today or in the coming weeks. You got several five-star recruits. You got cornerback Damani Jackson. He's picking between Alabama and USC. You got five-star O-lineman Devin Campbell. He's got LSU, Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. Five-star edge rusher Marvin Jones. He's got Alabama, Georgia in the mix on his schools. Denver Harris that Sam Spiegelman talked about. He's considering Alabama and A&M. Dalen Everett. He's cornerback down to Alabama and Georgia. Got a big D lineman, Shamar Stewart. Georgia, Texas A&M, Miami on his list. Safety Kamari Wilson. He's considering Florida and Georgia. And then the big five-star linebacker Harold Perkins. He won't be making his decision until later on, but he's got A&M and LSU on his list, and A&M very high on his list. Let's jump into it. I'll just run through every school in the SEC, and we'll kind of give you just a quick thought on what to watch for in these classes. Number one, this is the latest on the 24/7 composite rankings. They got Georgia with the number one class, headlined by Malachi Starks, the five-star athlete, Jaheim Singletary, five-star cornerback, and Michael Williams, the five-star D lineman. Kirby and his crew have put together yet another stellar class, showing no signs of slowing down. Gunnar Stockton, he could be that future start quarterback. My favorite signee in this class, D lineman Bear Alexander, 6'3", 325 pounds. Could he be the next great D lineman for the Bulldogs? We will see. Next up, Alabama at number 2. Nick Saban and company continue to kill it in recruiting this class with a couple of five stars in edge rusher Jeremiah Alexander, quarterback Ty Simpson, running back Emmanuel Henderson. My favorite guy to watch in this class, tight end Elijah Brown from Dayton, Ohio. Could be the next O.J. Howard type at Alabama. Add some real athleticism to that tight end spot. Charles Kelly and Freddie Roach just do a fantastic job every year at Alabama and doing it once again. The number 3 rated class currently, it's Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M. Big five-star Walter Nolan. He's not going to sign this week. He'll wait to sign. He'll wait until later on to sign, but he is the number 1 or number 2 recruit in the country, depending on what service you look at. Monster D lineman. Then you got five-star wide receiver Evan Stewart, who just committed a few weeks ago. D lineman Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, he just committed a few days ago. Quarterback Connor Wegman, he is the one to watch in this class. He is the reason Zach Calzada entered the transfer portal, because he expects to play very, very soon. And keep an eye on A&M today. They are going to add a couple more big names and to make this class even better. Got to go all the way down to number 12 for the next SEC school, and that is Kentucky. Who knew they'd have the 4th best class currently in the recruiting rankings? Coach Mark Stoops doing an outstanding job in Lexington, bringing in a strong class led by five-star offensive tackle Keonta Goodwin, but some people saying maybe he could still be eyeing Alabama, so you want to get that name on that dotted line as quickly as possible. Some more defensive pieces are coming in with edge rusher Tyrese Fearbry and linebacker Keaton Wade. They're going to make that defense even better in Lexington. Coming in at number 14, how about Missouri? They didn't have the best season on the field, but they did find a way to pick up some wins over South Carolina and Florida down the stretch. Eli Drinkwitz done a really good job of building up a solid recruiting class for 2022. Top 15 currently. They have not finished in the top 20 since 2004. The group is headlined by stud wide receiver Luther Burden from the St. Louis area. He was the number 1 receiver in this class, number 3 overall player. Quarterback Sam Horn and running back Tavoris Jones, they look to be solid as well. At least 6 4-stars in this class, could be even more for Drinkwitz. Heck of a haul for him. One name to keep an eye on, defensive end DJ Wesolak. He will make his pick today. He's down to Missouri and LSU. That would be a huge addition for Mizzou. South Carolina coming in at number 16. Shane Beamer really doing work in his year plus in Columbia with a top 20 class currently. But all the headlines as of late regard his transfer portal signings of former Oklahoma players, quarterback Spencer Rattler and tight end Austin Stogner. But this class on top of it is going to be even just as exciting as the transfers. Linebacker Jayshon Barham, he just committed a few days ago. He is the gem of this class. Safety Keenan Nelson, he should play immediately in that secondary. So South Carolina doing a fantastic job. Coming in at number 17, Arkansas. We already touched on it with Sam Spiegelman, but Coach Sam Pittman, a really strong class led by wide receiver Isaiah Sategna, big O lineman, and Andrew Chambly and Amarian Harris. They will help solidify that offensive front. It is where Sam Pittman likes to beat you, and they will continue to do so. And some big guys up front. Coming in at number 19, it's Josh Heupel and Tennessee. His crew coming out strong already. Coming out of year one with a class led by O-lineman Addison Nichols, quarterback Taven Jackson, Joshua Josephs, a big-time edge rusher, Caleb Webb at wide receiver. Should be a really good class for Heupel and crew heading into year two. Over at LSU, they're number 26 in the 24/7 composite, a little bit lower than that in rivals. But Brian Kelly, much like Billy Napier, has little time to mess around and try to lock down this class. He was reaffirmed with longtime five-star quarterback commit Walker Howard. They also have another five-star confirmed in offensive lineman Will Campbell. He lost Jake Johnson, the brother of Max Johnson, and got decommitments from Trevante Citizen and DeColdis Crawford. But to still have this class in the top 25, despite a coaching firing, is pretty solid. Losing Corey Raymond may hurt in the coming years, but bringing in Frank Wilson is definitely going to help. He could still get four-star safety Jacoby Matthews, who will make his decision in January. Four-star wide receiver Chaz Preston, by the way, will announce today he's down to LSU and Alabama. A lot of people expecting him to go Alabama. Coming at number 28, it's Brian Harson. Auburn doing their best. Their 2022 class got a big boost already this week with the addition of four-star DB Austin Osbury. Caden Story should play early on the D-line. Quarterback Holden Garner will compete immediately with TJ Finley. Trey Donaldson at safety should work in early as well. This could be a class that makes or breaks the Brian Harson era in Auburn. How about Vanderbilt coming in at number 29? Clark Lee doing all he can at Vanderbilt, and I think he'll still need to hit the transfer portal, but a class led by quarterback A.J. Swan, running back Maurice Edwards. He's got to get that offense going for the Commodores. A lot of three-stars in this class. They will need to find some diamonds in the rough in this group. Coming at number 31, Mississippi State. No doubt Leach is already adding pieces to the offense. Big-time receivers in Marquez Dortch and Xavier Thomas. Got a pretty good quarterback, Braden Locker, coming in. Several three-star linebackers and D linemen in that group. But State's got to get back to getting in some of those big-time D linemen at Starkville, which has been their bread and butter basically the past decade. Ole Miss currently ranked number 35. We talked about it with Sam. This feels low for Lane Kiffin. I know he's losing Jeff Levy, and that hurts the offense. He's got D lineman Xavier Harris. He's a four-star, as well as a safety, and Taylor Groves, cornerback Nick Cole from the state of Georgia. I'd like to see Kiffin get some more skill positions in here to add to the offense, but obviously maybe a little bit of hesitancy with the flux in the offensive coordinator spot. And lastly, Florida, currently ranked number 79. What can Billy Napier do with this Florida class, having just got the job? Well, he's got 7 commits as of us recording this. D lineman Chris McClellan is a 4-star, as is offensive tackle Tony Livingston. We will see if Corey Raymond can get to work and help him start bringing in some guys for the later signing period to improve this ranking. Had some decommitments that maybe he may be able to try to swing back into this class. But there you have it. That is our latest with the National Signing Day, early signing period. But, of course, you're going to be signing most of your recruits today. I'm Chris Cordy. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow, recapping everything that goes down today on signing day. We'll catch up with some of the surprises as well. Keep in mind, go check out our buddies over at the Locked On Bets podcast. Your boy Q and Lee Sterling giving you some picks for tonight in the sporting world. I'm Chris Cordy. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On SEC.